All right, guys, before we get into today's video, I just want to say thank you to everyone who made it possible. Big shout out to Custom Color Coatings for finishing my bumpers and the doors as well. Huge shout out to them. They always do great work. Thanks to Brandon for allowing us to use the pond back here and the farm to absolutely destroy today. Thanks to my brother and sister, Eddie and Paula, for coming out here, helping me film. Eddie for taking straight up bullets to the chest with this thing shooting rocks. But that's it, guys. Let's get into it. What's up, guys? We're back in the shop again today, finishing up what's left on the cage. This is like a whole spread of things, and mostly sheet metal work. No more tubes, possibly. There might be one more tube, but we'll see. Regardless, let me show you guys the list and what we're working on first. So this is what we have to knock out, and it's a good bit of shit. We already installed the bungs that I mentioned at the end of the last video. I finished those up. We have to make all these mounts and tabs and brackets. So I'm gonna start with the whip mounts first. So hopefully now you can kind of see what I was talking about. I just used a little cardboard to lay it out. These two, I usually make my bend lines dashes, so those should have been dashed. Those are bend lines. That's a bend line. This is where this piece here will sit and bolt in, and then these will get flap disced out to match the radius of the tube. But just making it out of cardboard so it's a little bit easier to duplicate the two of them. Now all we gotta do is bend these. And so here's where I want these to sit. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like I want it to sit like that. Hope you guys can see, yeah. So I want them to be angled back, and I think this will work. So as you can see, we got the mounts welded in. I did lay the whips back a little bit. They don't stick past the back, but my roof line, these were before like just above the roof. Now that we lowered the roof, I don't want these to stick up too much. So I think this is a good solution. I really like how these look. I realized just now I didn't even show you guys the finished product before I welded them in, but here's a good peek at one. Rounded off edges, look pretty nice. You can see how we followed the tube with those little bends. I'm pretty happy with them. I think that was a super elegant solution for what it is. Next up, I don't know, something else on the list. Let's pick one off and go. I'm gonna say we should do this, the light bar mounts. That's what that means. So let's get to it. All right, so for this light bar, I'm a big fan of the light bar being like slightly higher in the front, but not too much higher. You know, I don't want some crazy light bar mount like way out here. So we're gonna aim to put it right about there with just a little bit of clearance. And I think that'll look sweet. Now, I already took a couple measurements for you guys to kind of get that about located where I want. This is what I came up with. We're gonna cut this out. Then we're gonna hold it up to the machine and trace the profile of that bend. And somewhere in here there should be a hole. We'll see. Guys, this is what that template looks like fit up. It actually ended up almost more like flush with the roof, but I'm all right with that. So we're gonna cut this out of steel now and see how the light bar sits with it. I think we're pretty close. I think this will be the ticket to making this work. So here's the final product. I wish I left this a little bit thicker around that bolt. That's all right though. I decided that whole like straight edge I had mocked up, that's just for squares. So I decided a little freehand with the grinder and made her a little whip back in. But take a look here. We still go, oh my God, man down. We still gotta make the other one, but I mean, that is a damn good fit. I'm really happy with how it looks. We're gonna duplicate and fornicate the two pieces together. So we got these babies all welded up. Look how beautiful this middle section is. And then look, what happened was I tacked it from the back side. And when you tack, especially thin metal like this, you push all the impurities to the top on the other side. So I tacked them from the back side before I started welding. So when I hit here and here where the tacks are, it just got all funky. But next up, we're gonna make the seatbelt tabs. For the seatbelt tabs, we're reusing this stock bolt, and then these are nuts I bought that fit, and we're just gonna build an 1/8 inch bracket that will hold that just like that, so I can reuse the stock seatbelts. All right, so you guys saw these little tabs I was working on. The idea was weld this to the cage, but as you can see, I mean, this one came out okay. This one, the nut blew out, so I decided to scrap this idea. In my opinion, it would look nicer if the piece that was welded to the cage was like a solid like bung, and I was like, how can I do that? I found some metal. We happen to have this 3/4 inch by 3 flat stock laying around, so I kind of already made my cuts. I didn't finish it yet because it's easier to drill and tap this when it's all one piece, easier to clamp. But I'm gonna do 2 bevel cuts. I'm gonna grind this out like a cup to match the tube and weld this on. I think this will just, it'll look better, it'll look more finished. And I mean, it's not a bad idea, but I don't feel like remaking them. So, I mean, it's not gonna focus. Well, you gotta take my word for it. Them threads are slicker than the dolphin's ass. Now, I even, a bit of a machinist myself. Put a little countersink right there. You can see it just chattered away in the drill press. And look at this, the threads actually work. The seatbelt bolt actually threads in. And that right there is tighter than a bull's ass. So, there's 2 animals' asses right here in this piece of metal. And they're both fantastic. Here are the finished little blocks. I just hit them with the hard rock disc and they fit up pretty damn good. Little gap on the edge, that's all right, we'll fill that up. This will be plenty. And also, most importantly, our nut won't bottom out on the tube. It'll still have full contact with the threads, which is important. I already got them marked up on the machine. I'm gonna tack these in and show you guys how it looks. I just burned these in, and let me tell you guys, I love them. Look, I mean, look at them dimes, baby. Call me the US Mint. No, I'm just kidding, but I do think that they look really good. This is a W. Holy shit, that tube is hot, baby. Yeah, that's a W, son. Guys, so my GoPro sat on the workbench with the power off for 1 second too many, and it died again. I don't know what's up with that, but tonight we're gonna be working on something else, and we're just gonna be filming with the phone because I still wanna record it, but we're gonna be designing a dome light for the side-by-side. So I bought one of these sweet KC Cyclones. They're supposed to be super bright. They just mount with 1 bolt in the center, which is super big. I mean, that's nice and easy. I'm gonna use a simple rocker switch to activate it right in front of it. So we're just gonna design a panel that welds in between the 2 V-bars. Here's my measurements, all rather rough so far, but we're gonna turn that into something real. All right, guys, so here's the plate all made up. I hate cutting these switches out, and this one slightly bigger than it has to be, but that's all right. We got a hole for the wire to pass through, a hole to mount the light, a couple dimple dies for some style. I'm just gonna weld this in real quick and I'll show you guys everything assembled. So here you guys can kind of see my thought process here. We got a nice little dome light now to shine, boom, right in the cab. And I'm just gonna wire this switch into it, so you know, you turn it on, you turn it off. I really wanted like a push button, like some of the ones in a car are. You push it and it stays on, you push it, it turns off. Those switches were too deep to fit with the tube, so we're just gonna run that little toggle switch and it'll work. I'm pretty happy with how that came out. All right, guys, so next up, I think I'm gonna start knocking out this windshield. That's kind of the biggest project left on my list as far as I know. So here's what I'm thinking. I really want the roof, personally, to roll down to here and go across. I like that look of like the brow. So what I'm gonna do for this windshield is we're gonna get rid of this. We're gonna get rid of their shit altogether. I'm gonna cut this roof right here at this line. Make this line go straight across. We're gonna re-drill the holes using this bar. Then we're gonna weld a tube in here across, drill and tap the tube to accept that bolt pattern. I have a tap for that. So we're just gonna drill and tap it. And now our roof, when we design the roof is gonna roll and then screw into there. That's what's gonna hold the front edge of that roof, is those 6 mounting bolts for the windshield. So we're gonna get to that right now. I'm gonna disassemble this windshield, rip it on the table saw because that'll be the best way to get a clean cut. And then we're gonna re-drill it and blah, 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 and the whole 9 yards that I just described. Alright guys, so we did get the windshield all mounted up. I ended up using this angle iron I found. It's just 1/8 inch angle, drilled and tapped for the M6 hardware. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. It still works as it should. Just like that, boom, and you can see out. And you can see from the inside, you got plenty of vision. Normally, the windshield would have been a little bit taller, but the thing with the windshields on these is like you could block it down to here and you can still see what you need to see. So that's a W. Next up is the roof. I'm gonna use these weld-on tabs from AJK Off-Road. They come with, I believe, a 1/4 inch hole. I just punched them out with the proper size to hold the M6 riv nut because that's just the way to go in my opinion. So I already drilled them. I'm just gonna break these off, clean them up, and then I have to build a quick jig that's gonna go across the roof just so they all sit nice and flat. It'll be easy to locate. So I'm gonna get to it right now. So I didn't record much of the process. It was pretty boring stuff, but all the roof mounts are welded on. Make sure that's a good looking weld before I show you guys. That's a good looking weld. So 3 in each of these rear triangles and 4 on the main panel of the roof. This hump I intend on rolling whenever I get access to a roller to roll the front. That way this won't need additional screws. It should hold itself down. These, when wind comes through here, it's gonna hit these and wanna make them flop. So 3 should be plenty. Next up, we're moving on to making the rear reverse light mounts. Nothing crazy. That's just gonna go there. Reverse light will bolt in. Before I used the cheesy brackets that came with that thing, we're not gonna do that again. We're gonna make proper weld-on brackets and weld them on. So I'm just gonna cut these out. I'm gonna use a little bit of this 1/8 inch here, a couple of scrap pieces, and cut these bad boys out. Use up some of these little pieces, they're good to keep around when you got them like that. So let's get to it. I ended up drawing up the brackets for the light. I didn't show any of it. I cut them, I made them. They look beautiful. I just gotta clean up the tube and then tack those on. I'm pretty happy with those. Gives it a good footprint, a lot cleaner than those stupid factory brackets. Also, I didn't even tell you guys about this, I don't think, but my brother, he does like computer design stuff way out of my league. I don't know how to do that stuff at all. So I wanted a cool gusset and a way to brand this cage with Magnolia Road Customs, and I'm like, how can I do that? I don't want to just weld a tag on like my old bumper had a tag. It's cool, but so I actually made this super like ghetto, just use a piece of clip art, made a spider web design with the MRC oval in the middle. And he, being the genius that he is, reworked it into something way cooler. He ended up making me one from scratch, and look how sick this thing is. So he made this into a spider as part of the web, and he made this like a little more hectic, and it just looks so much better. Can't thank him enough, JR. If you're watching this, thanks again. So we're gonna also weld this in. We're gonna weld those two in, and that's it. This bitch is coming off after that, and we gotta do that somehow as well. It didn't take too much time. We got the gusset welded on. Pretty good, actually. This one was a little sloppier. I did it in a weird position. Whatever. The tabs are on. I'm happy with how the tabs look. I'm happy with how the reverse light looks. I'm really just happy with everything. Next up, we're taking this thing apart, and then so we can weld everything we haven't welded yet. The roll cage, the main structure is 100% welded, but like these have to be welded. A lot of these have to be welded, the tabs. So this has to come off, so cue the time lapse. We got a lot of welding to do tonight. You need some fuel. Get yourself a Corona. It's beautiful out tonight. We're grilling up a little ostrich burger and some well done bacon, baby. One bite, everybody knows the rules. That'll do. So, last night I had some technical difficulties. I was finishing up this joint, and I went flex the head. I had a nice CK torch. Flexed the head, and all of a sudden, psh, the coolant broke. Like the coolant passage and the flexible part broke. Blew it through. It's probably because of my fault. I was using a cheap pond pump as a cooler before I built this. So we got this $12 Amazon jammy, new head, still the good hoses, but hopefully that keeps working. But in the meantime, we got everything getting ready to go to the powder coater. Before I do that, and while I still have these marks, because these are gonna get sandblasted off, I decided to lay out the roof. My camera died, and I was trying to explain. I laid the roof out. I didn't record it because I never really knew even what I was doing, but I did get it cut. I also found a place to roll this, so we're gonna get him to roll this front edge because it's way too much to try and roll ourselves. It's gonna create a bubble in the middle, but I'm pretty happy with it. I'm gonna have him roll this as well. This back one will just be whatever it is. So use a little hole saw to make that nice and round. Overall, not bad. The cage and doors and bumper are off at the powder coater. Getting everything needs to be done. In the meantime, we have this roof. I need this to get ready to go to the place that's gonna roll it. We have to get this shit off. And what a better excuse to buy a new tool. I've been wanting to get this thing, the Harbor Freight version of the surface conditioner. I don't know, we'll see what it's all about. Let it rip, see if it'll get the paper off. And let me tell you what, guys, this thing gets an A+ in my book. It was like 130 bucks. It's cooking right now. I just ran this thing for like, I don't know, probably 45 minutes. Ran through all 3 grits on the roof, and as you can see, you can kind of see my starts and stops, but that is what it is. But yeah, that's it. That's good. That's a W. Now we can mark that when we get the cage back and send that out to get rolled. So we finally have everything back from the powder coater and sandblasting, blah, blah, blah. The roof is actually rolled for this thing as well. I just have to get that picked up. But today we're gonna be painting the cage and the side pieces. So I'm not gonna show you the bumpers and stuff yet, but here's the cage. Obviously these weren't sandblasted. You can tell these are still just mill scale. This is sandblasted. It's a nice rough finish. A little bit of dirt. We're gonna clean this up. But we have a mock paint booth here. We're gonna clean all this stuff up with acetone and get to spraying. I'm pretty excited. I think these are gonna come out good. We're gonna prime them tonight, paint them tomorrow, but let me stop talking. I'm gonna start cleaning, and then you guys will see me shooting some paint. So guys, first thing we're gonna do is shoot this with some primer. As you can see, I got my this weird suit on. Usually I just raw dog this, but I decided today that I don't wanna be covered in this sticky shit, because this Rust-Oleum is super sticky. We did 16 ounces of paint. We're gonna do, I guess, I don't know. We'll just try 8 ounces, 2-to-1 ratio. Usually when I'm doing Rust-Oleum, I split it 50-50 acetone and paint, but I never did the primer before. So 16 and 24 should be more than enough paint to get this painted. That looks pretty good. I don't really know what looks good. I don't know shit about. I don't know anything about painting. I took culinary arts, so I'm really good at whisking. See that? Look at that wrist. Now normally I buy the purple Harbor Freight gun and I throw it out when I'm done, but this time I'm trying to reduce, reuse, recycle, you know? So I'm reducing waste and I'm gonna reuse this gun more than once. Mostly because there's 2 different coats here. Normally I just shoot it, throw the fucking gun out. This was $10 more, so I'm really moving up in my painting game. This one even has writing on it, and it's green, which is sick. So we're gonna put this paint in here, and we're just gonna spray it and hope for the best. Do I know what's gonna happen? No. I predict disaster, but we'll see. So guys, the primer's all dried up. Came out really good, better than I would have thought. Never sprayed this stuff before. I'm not very good at spraying paint to start with, but I'm really happy with how it looks. A couple spots I bumped it with the hose. Oops. Otherwise, we're doing pretty good. Mixing up the color and shooting that next. Alright guys, I gotta say, the paint, I think we did a really good job. There's a couple spots where it's not 100% smooth, a little bit like dry spray, I guess. Like, I don't know if you guys can tell there, but hey, I'm 100% happy with it. It's glossy, it's nice and dry, everything seems to be hardening up well. I'm not even gonna try and put it on yet, I'll give it a couple days, but that's it. I mean, that is sweet. I'm really happy with that. These are gonna get scratched up instantly anyway, but yeah, that's it guys. We also got the roof back. I got this rolled, like I said. Hopefully this matches up. We haven't even tried it yet, so I'm gonna give all this a shot today, see how it looks, and this is the last time you guys will see it before it's all done.
Yeah. 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 If I can do it, homie, it can be done. Now I'ma let the champagne bottle pop. I'ma take it to the top. Show, I'ma make it hot, baby. I apply pressure, the pussy, the stunt, and I pop. Still bump, squeezing my pistol, I'm sure that I got. I be the pipe and pick peppers. And from rock round, 50 cent, I write a little bit, but I pop nines. Tell niggas get their money right, cause I got mine. I'm around quick playing, nigga, you can't shine. You gon' be that next chump, then end up in the trunk after being hit by the bump. Is that what you want? Be easy, nigga. I lay your ass out. Believe me, nigga. That's what I'm about. Gangsta, you can find a nigga sitting on chrome. Hit the clutch, hit the gear, hit the gas, and I'm gone. If I can do it, homie, it can be done. Now I'ma let the champagne bottle pop. I'ma take it to the top. Show, I'ma make it hot, baby. I'm down for the action, small with his mouth is smack. You hold your strap, you might come back some crap. React like a gangster, die like a gangster for acting. Cause you get hit in homicide and be asking what happened. Oh no, look who preppin' with the foe. 20-inch rim sitting on low, bro. East side, west side, you know. Even my mama saying something really wrong with my brain. Niggas don't rob me, they know I'm down and down for my chain. G-Unit, we get it poppin' in the hood. G-Unit, motherfucker was good. I'm waiting on niggas to act like they don't know how to act. I had to sip it too much Jack, I blow them off the map with the Mac. Thinking it's all wet, till that ass be clapping. Doc says
Keep going because it went sideways.
Your front right fender's just hanging there now.
Oh, it blew off.
Oh, he told me he's hanging on by it with one bolt.
I'm dirty, I'm from Southside, Jamaica, Queens, nigga, you street lights come on.
Oh, fuck. I can't even see the phone.